Hello and welcome to another episode of the Cleveland Sports Bros podcast. I'm Matt alongside my brother Nick. Nick, how you doing today?
I'm good, ready to talk about the Cleveland Browns going into week 3.
Yep, and we're not the Browns Sports Bros. We are the Cleveland Sports Bros. So the Cavs are in the offseason and the Guardians, the season is about wrapping up. They're way back in the division. So we haven't forgotten about them, but right now I think that all of our supporters are kind of focused on the Browns. So that's if there's big news or anything, or Terry's potential upcoming retirement, we'll bring that to you, of course. But wanted to recap the Browns Monday Night Football loss to the Steelers. Sorry, we're getting out a little bit late on this, and talk about that game and then preview the upcoming game against the Titans. So without further ado, Nick, tell us what happened on Monday night.
So a lot of things going into the Monday night game. You have all these stats of Pittsburgh at home had won the last 20 Monday night games, and the last 19 home games against the Cleveland Browns. Call it a record or curse or whatever. Last year, Cleveland had a shot to go 2-0 as well, and found a way to fall short to the Jets. And this game, I think, was a little more heartbreaking. I was wondering, Matt, which one stung more? Probably this one because of the loss of Nick Chubb.
Yeah, it kind of felt like after that play happened where Chubb went down, it was clear that it was a serious injury. It almost didn't matter if they won. It just sucked the air out of the room. Obviously would have liked to see them win, but that was kind of all that was on the minds of Browns fans at that point was Nick Chubb and his health. You hate to see he's probably the favorite player on this team, and has been for a number of years, at least on the offensive side. We just know he's one of the best running backs in the NFL. He's always been a quiet leader, and with the stats as good as if not better than anyone else in the NFL since he's been here. So really tough to see him go down, and we'd love to see him come back. If he wants, and I'm sure Cleveland fans would welcome him. But that game was kind of in many ways overshadowed by that injury, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And, the Browns in the very beginning of the game, we all remember, and it really compares to a playoff game. The first play, I should say, started with a pick six, and the ball Watson threw was to Harrison Bryant. Many fans believe that wasn't a design read. I blame it mostly on Bryant, and Steelers turned it into a pick six 9 seconds into the game. Not a good start, and it went downhill.
Yeah, and the defense played lights out again in this game. Some of the stats were crazy. They gave up pretty much one big play, and that was it. Pittsburgh scored twice off turnovers. In the fourth quarter, kind of sealed the deal, took the lead for good with the fumble six, TJ Watt taking to the house. So I guess looking forward to the Titans and the rest of the season. Really excited about the defense, but the offense now, again, we lost another all-pro player in Nick Chubb after losing Jack Conklin, and Jawad came in and I think did a pretty good job, but still, or not, Dewan Jones, yeah. But now it's, well, what do we do at running back? And of course, Jerome Ford had a, I think, really solid game. He had that huge run that he was tackled just short of the goal line. But the Browns, it was clear that even with Ford being a good player, they're going to need some more help in that running back room. And they went out and signed free agent. Fans know him here, Karreem Hunt. He was with the team the previous 4 seasons, and now he's back. So, Nick, what do you think about that?
I'm really excited to have Karreem Hunt back, and there was a lot of talk of other players that names many fans know. I just won't bring him up. In my mind, after the Chubb injury, it instantly came to my mind that the door was open to bring Karreem Hunt back. He's familiar with the city, he's familiar with the fans, he's excited to be back. And I think the fans are ready to watch him, play a big role again.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely exciting news to have him back. We know that he had offers, at least we heard from other teams, and glad that they were able to come to an agreement with Kareem in the front office. And he, look, again, Stefanski said you can't replace Nick Chubb, but Kareem's going to have to certainly try, and that whole running back room is going to have to do what they can. And he's an explosive player, especially catching balls out of the backfield. So, I'm excited to see what he can do, and excited to see what maybe he can help with some of the offensive struggles, and it'll be interesting to see what he can do. Joining the team, it's still early in the season, so it's not like too much time has passed or anything like that. He knows the system, knows a lot of the other players and coaches. So we'll have to see what he can bring to the table.
Yeah, you mentioned he's capable of catching balls out of the backfield. We've seen that, ever since his rookie year with the Chiefs. And I think that's one piece that could maybe calm Deshaun down and maybe help him make, a quick throw to Kareem Hunt and let him get the yards after catch. Not just with Hunt, but with players like Elijah Moore, Cooper, Njoku. Njoku had that mistake with a fumble in the previous game. But I think Deshaun needs to rely on his teammates a little more. We've seen him, or I've seen highlights when he played for the Texans. He would throw a deep ball, and many times his receivers would make a play. But he needs to remember there's talent, the other 10 guys on his side of the ball have talent, and he needs to trust in them.
Yeah, and I think he does. It's just piecing it all together. So I think we believe he can do it. And again, now this Sunday we got a home game against the Titans. So of course, Deshaun playing like Deshaun is capable of will play a huge role in whether they win or lose. I know we both think that he can do it. It'll be nice to see if he can. Nick, what do the Browns have to do to win on Sunday?
First things first, don't turn the ball over. First 2 weeks combined, they've turned it over 6 times. And, when you're playing at NFL level, you turn it over, it's going to be tough to win. And they were fortunate to, with 6 combined turnovers, to eke out one win against the Bengals. We all recall in week 1, they turned it over twice. And so that's first. Secondly, I've heard fans say, don't go for the big play. And that's kind of what I just mentioned a moment ago. Have your players like Njoku, Moore, Cooper, fine. I've seen Stefanski scheme them open. And I think Deshaun's just trying to go for the big play and push it down the field. Doesn't matter if it's 10, 12 plays, just find a way to get down the field and punch it in the end zone.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. They're going to have to sustain drives, and some of that is, or a lot of it is going to be on the offensive line too. There's injuries and there's some new guys in there. They got to protect him too. And, especially if he's still getting familiar with the system, Deshaun, that is, they're going to have to give him time to go through his progressions and reads and make the right decision. And I agree, sustain longer drives that end in touchdowns. It sounds obvious, right? But it doesn't do you really any good to move the ball 75 yards and kick a field goal in the NFL for the most part. So really would like to see them have these sustained drives that, again, those build on one another. 5 plays here, 5 yards here, 7 yards there, 12 yards the next play. Maybe you 1 yard here and then another one for 6 or something like that. Just moving the ball down the field will build confidence rather than just kind of relying on a big play here and there. You'll take the big plays, of course, but I think that would do a lot for the confidence for Deshaun, confidence in the offensive line, the whole team, to be able to have these long sustained drives that end in 6 points.
Definitely. One final point I'd like to make, certainly on the Browns Titans game. Matt, what is your faith you have? Let's switch it over to Jerome Ford, who's now, as Stefanski said, the lead runner in this backfield.
Pretty good. Again, he had that long run that he's tripped up just before the end zone. We saw him last year with some big plays. Again, it might be unfair to compare anyone to Nick Chubb just because he's one of the best to do it in the game today. But I think he's a really good running back, really talented, and when he gets more and more reps in practice and in games, I think he'll only improve. So I like him as either a 1 or 2 running back, whatever he is. Again, but they need backup, so I'm glad they got backup. We know they have Pierre Strong as well, and then bringing in Karreem Hunt. So, but I like him. I think he can certainly be play an important role in this team. What about you?
I agree, and while it is painful to see Chubb go down and out for the season, I remember the draft 2 years ago when he was drafted. I was very excited, and I certainly don't recall much about him, like his college, but he has a lot of potential, and that's another thing with scheming. I'm certainly no NFL coach, but I think Kevin and the Browns, not just with Deshaun, need to scheme simpler plays. We saw Watson have a jet sweep on 3rd or 4th and 1, and he fumbled the ball, and that was prior to Chubb going down. And even if it was Chubb or Ford, it's like, even though the defense knows it, just pound the ball.
Yeah, I agree. So I think he can do it, and again, they got to learn from their mistakes and move on. So what the keys to success are: just sustained drives and no turnovers.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. They're better than Tennessee. They have a great coach in Mike Vrabel, but I think they're better. They're home. This team needs to bounce back and show that, they, even without Nick Chubb, that they can go out and win. And hey, win it for Nick Chubb. How about that? We'll take that.
Definitely, and that's what they said after the Steelers game. It's probably expected, but I said, don't just walk the walk. Don't just talk the talk, walk the walk. So hopefully they can get it done.
Yep, looking forward to it. All right, everyone. Thank you again for listening. We'll be back next week with a recap of the game. You've been listening to the Cleveland Sports Bros podcast.